Alright. It says we are live.
Yep.
Okay. Let me get this out there for everyone.
You went with the Four Horsemen?
Yeah, I went 4 horsemen a day. I don't know. Just kind of thought we'll go 4 horsemen a day. Can't wear this to the Royal Rumble because I still might get kicked out.
Gonna kick us out no matter what.
Yeah. Alright, so now it's out there. Now that everybody is made aware, welcome to this week's edition of the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I am the Athletic Geek, joined on the other end of the tin can and string this week by CJ Team All Zero.
Yo.
Nick might be coming later. We don't know. It's always kind of much like our WWE champion. We never know when he's going to show up. And EZ cannot make it this week because he is watching the ULA Peacocks play hockey skitball or some kind of game. So hope he's having fun over there in SCU land. And yeah, we got quite the show. We actually have some WWE to talk about. We have our predictions for the Royal Rumble. We got some NWA news to talk about. We have obviously Rampage and Dynamite to discuss. And there's also right now a contest, pay-per-view prediction contest for the Royal Rumble. You have until 6:30 Eastern time to get your predictions in this Saturday. And yeah, it's the same prizes as normal for first prize, but if you win the grand prize, you will get, in addition to the normal prizes, this Blu-ray copy of Shawn versus Brett. And the reason that you're getting this Blu-ray copy of Shawn vs. Brett is 10 years ago, when the Royal Rumble was in St. Louis the first time, I bought the DVD of Shawn vs. Brett for my collection. And at the time, I didn't have cable. I just had to go to friends' houses to watch wrestling. So I needed all the entertainment I could muster, and they had this for $10 and a 4-disc Steve Austin DVD for $15. So that was a godsend during my rough patch with no cable. But if you've never seen this show before, this is the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I met CJ locally. I met EZ, who is not here. He is watching the ULA Peacocks play basket hockey pit stick puck ball. I met him at StarCast and All In, and I went to high school with Nick. If he shows up, we love wrestling, we love talking wrestling, we love sharing our love of pro wrestling with each and every one of you out there. However, just like each and every one of you out there, we are just fans. Our opinions are that of any other fans, because at the end of the day, we're not wrestlers, we're not insiders, we's just a bunch of marks, and these marks that do not like Rays in the House, speaking of SCU, usually don't like the WWE, but, you know, it's go-home week for Royal Rumble. We broke down and bought a ticket to the Royal Rumble, and, yeah, definitely some big stuff happening on Raw. Not really. Kind of a weak ass go home show, but yeah, there was at least there was a couple good matches at least worth talking about. I know CJ watched all of Raw. I watched a couple segments on Raw.
And much like trauma, I have blocked most of it out.
Yeah, just I will say this much. The spelling bee segment was stupid with RK Bro and Otis and Chad Gable, but I'm gonna concede I like the Chad Gable's gimmick. Like, I think it's cool. Like, I'm sorry, like it's an entertaining gimmick. It's kind of like a little mix between Kurt Angle and Damian Sandow. He plays it well. It's not Shorty G. He's not making himself look like it's like Kurt Angle. Like, he's not like completely ruining his credibility with it. It brings charisma out, so he's not just like, "Hi, I'm Chad Gable. I was in the Olympics once." He's not doing that. So I don't mind the gimmick. I thought the spelling bee segment was stupid, and I didn't like it. But hey, whatever. But for the most part, it was a good. He went on to have a match with Randy Orton, and as you guys know, I am the furthest thing from a Randy Orton fan, but I enjoyed that match. They put on a good wrestling match, so that was cool. And then the other thing I got to see from Raw was Austin Theory and AJ Styles. They had a pretty damn good match as well. So much like the general opinion on WWE is, hey, look, here's some things that we like, but here's also about 10,000 times more bullshit that we don't like. So rather than complain ourselves into, bitterness, we were just not going to watch. Anything different of note that you would that you think we should talk about when it comes to Raw?
I don't think so. We'll still watch probably SmackDown because it's the go home show. Probably be perplexed and disappointed and normal human emotions when it comes to watching the WWE product at this point. But I'm gonna do it because I bought the ticket and gonna do it.
Yep. Gonna power on through, but we have predictions. We
got some thoughts.
We got some things that And also, if you Miss Ace is in the house. Thank you for joining us. Also, I'm making predictions, and if you score higher than me, you get the bonus prize of one of these wonderful, wonderful posters, art prints, or autographed 8x10s. So if you can beat me, you can get something like, this Undertaker poster. Oh, dang, that would have been cool to have Mick Foley sign a couple weeks ago. But I would have wanted Taker, so I'm okay with it. Hang on one second. Sorry, we had a little technical issue there. You could also win something like this Honky Tonk Man socking Brutus the Barber Beefcake poster. That's great. Or you could maybe win this Victoria autograph picture. All of that is possible if you can just beat me. But be forewarned, I am a highly skilled, highly religious WWE product watcher. So it's going to take good effort to beat me. Did that sound convincing? Is one of our co-hosts joining us yet? I know he sent us a message.
Not yet.
Okay. Hang on one second, guys.
Maybe he's not ready yet.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Just making sure everything's copacetic.
Let's go segment by segment on Raw.
Oh, wait, so showed up. We're fine now. We gotta talk about Raw.
Stretching.
Well, we'll go ahead and get started, and if Nick is
We can
able
talk
to.
about the NWA really quick.
Yeah, we'll talk NWA before we get into our predictions, because we want Nick to give his predictions. Well, the first thing they're doing with NWA that is really, really cool is, well, Cardona's made his way to the NWA, and it seems to me like Matt Cardona's gimmick is just like, hey, I'm coming here, and it's not that good, you guys. But that's okay. I'm going to make it better.
Well, he's kind of like he's steamrolled this like GCW and Impact thing where he comes and he makes a big impact, haha,
Huh?
um, on the new company that he's like, hey, look, every time I come in, I make things better. I've got so many suggestions. That's kind of what he's done with the NWA. He's coming in, he's like, you guys need pyro, you guys need music, you need this and this. I've got so many ideas. I can make it better. Your champion's a hack.
Yeah. He's not half, but like that's just what he's doing, yeah.
No, but that's what he says. Like,
Yeah.
he's bad guy, so that's what bad guys do. I don't know if you know that or not.
I'm aware, yes.
I'm
So,
pretty smart about wrestling stuff.
but no, like he's it really crawled much like with the GCW stuff really bleeding over at like conventions and Nick Gage, who I still hate, but this was good writing on their end. Crashing his podcast and crashing a convention and stuff. Cardona is going on like Busted Open Radio, which I don't listen to because there's the epitome of a hack on that fucking show. But that's besides the point. And he's basically kind of saying NWA sucks, and like that it's not, this doesn't work. He's like he is echoing a lot of legit criticisms that quite a few within the fan base have about the NWA, which is like, look, this is not a presentation that works in this day and age. It didn't even work back in the 80s when you had the WWF at the time going on, and what makes you think it works now? So if I come here, I can bring this brand up. And he straight up, I mean, Barry is a the word buried is thrown around way too loosely on on the internet today. Like anytime Cody Rhodes wins a match, somebody was buried. So, um, but Matt Cardona straight up buried the NWA this week on Busted Open Radio, and for a lot of people, that's all they know about the NWA is what Matt Cardona said. And obviously, I know it's done within the realms of the story, but if you want to talk about a guy that knows how like to blur lines and get people talking, it's Matt Cardona.
For sure, for sure.
Nick, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Cool. So last few things about NWA. They're doing a Melina is starting to turn into a disgruntled veteran. She was kind of the the veteran on the good side of things, sort of wrestler. And now, like, she's starting to get frustrated that she hasn't won the NWA Women's Championship. She's getting frustrated that because she's failed on multiple occasions to win that championship, she's getting kind of passed over for the other talent on the NWA roster. And she kind of did an interview where, like, my resume speaks for itself. I should always be the number one contender, and the turn is coming with Melina. We just don't know how it's going to happen.
Well, and on the most recent one, she took a newer woman to the division, and just really bashed her in. It was, I mean, it was a good match. It was a little more brutal for Melina. She was very dominant in it, and she was very she did such a good job because she's getting very frustrated
Yeah.
if she's bested by these new people. And yes, she is winning the matches, but it's really clear that she's kind of, these are brand new people. So this is not a burial. This is, they're getting moves over on Melina, and it makes her very frustrated. It's kind of building. For now, we're going to see somebody new's coming in. Well, not somebody new coming in, but we're going to see a new face wrestle for the Burke. We're going to get Kira Hogan wrestling Camille, the champion,
Camille is the
for the
champion.
title. Camille is the champion, and she is doing a really good job. They had a really good interview. They had a backstage kind of interview segment. Um, I thought it had a really good back and forth. The thing with the NWA is that I'm pretty sure they film it all kind of one take thing. They don't do a lot of edits.
Hmm.
So and they don't have a staff of writers. So this is all the wrestlers just shooting from the hip. And so sometimes you'll get a little bit of like ooh ah ooh and it's fine and it's fun. And if you haven't seen the NWA, some other faces that you might be able to see, uh, we've got uh, the Dirty Sexy Boys, which is the former Fandango and JTG as a
And
tag team.
I'm enjoying the tag team, but the fact they're called the Dirty Sexy Boys, well, for anybody else that watches OSW review, Fandango and JTG are kind of the epitome of boys. Am I right, guys?
Well, it's very very entertaining stuff going on from them right now, and the Austin Idol Team Idol stuff with uh, his whole group is entertaining.
How
They've
much for
they've got a
Lucy on
lot
these
of
Bozier? Awesome. We might have
yeah
to
they
get some
got a
Bose
lot of
earbuds.
yeah.
I so I'm enjoying it. I do think the women's division is top notch in NWA, but I don't want to agree complete with Cardona's character and his quote unquote shoot comments. But definitely, I definitely agree that there's kind of a bubble in the NWA, and I like the fact that it exists within that bubble. Um, but I really think that Cardona needs to win this belt because you got to keep the buzz going. Like I like Trevor Murdoch. It was one of his match with Nick Aldis was on quite a few of our match of the year lists. Uh, I had it at number 10. EZ had it at number 10. CJ had it even higher. Um, so it was a great match, but you definitely there needs to be a new buzz around this brand, and I think Cardona can bring that buzz. No disrespect to Trevor Murdoch, I feel like it's time. It's time to try something new. It's time to let Cardona get that buzz, and it's time to build up somebody to be the all-conquering hero to take it back from him and reclaim the NWA. Be it, good guy Nick Aldis, um, Cyron, anybody. I feel like that's what we got to do if we're the NWA. So, but still, good show. It's free on YouTube again, so you owe it to yourself to check it out. Both their shows are free on YouTube. So, yeah. So now it's time for the Royal Rumble predictions, since
Preview.
Nick is here. 30 men, 30 women, all that jazz. But we're also going to predict the whole card, and we are going to start with. These matches are all jumbled out of order here on Wikipedia. The first match, which it wouldn't surprise me if this is the first match, singles match for the Universal Championship. Seth freaking Rollins, yeah, he's not just Seth Rollins anymore. You gotta put the freaking in there. Versus Roman Reigns. CJ, who are you picking and why?
Roman,
Okay, Nick.
because it's Roman Reigns.
Yeah, exactly. Nick.
Um, I have been trying to keep up with WWE a little bit more lately, um, particularly Raw for well, because I don't have SmackDown because I don't have Fox here, but I'm gonna go with Roman Reigns, not knowing a ton about it, just because yeah,
Rom-
obviously it's Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns across the board. So, yep. Roman Reigns to retain across the board. Next match, mixed tag team match. Edge and Beth Phoenix versus The Miz and Maurice. CJ, who you picking and why?
I am gonna go with Edge and Beth Phoenix on this one. I don't see why they would have him lose, but I mean, I guess it could go either way, but I'll go with Edge and Beth.
Okay, Nick, what about you?
Um, I don't think that this is gonna be the end of it, so I'm gonna go with Miz and Maurice. I don't know if they're gonna stretch it all the way to WrestleMania or if the blow off is gonna be at the Elimination Chamber show, um, which would be my more likely guess. But I'm gonna go with Miz and Maurice.
I'm going Miz and Maurice as well. I think they're gonna get more out of this program, so you can't have
They seem to be really in on this feud.
yeah.
So, and I don't quite think it's been definitely it's not bad, but it's been like lackluster compared to all the rest of the stuff Edge has done. But I still think I think we're gonna get another match.
Okay. The next match is for the Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch, the champion, versus Doudrop. CJ, who you picking and why?
I'm going with Becky Lynch on this one as well because it's Becky.
Mm-hmm. You gotta let her take that into WrestleMania. I'm going. I know I usually pick last, but yeah, Becky Lynch for me. Or is it gonna be all across the board, Nick?
Yeah, I don't think it just seems Becky Lynch has to have it at WrestleMania, and it would be silly for them to have it give it to Doudrop for a pay-per-view cycle to me. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'll be Becky.
All right. For the WWE Championship, Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. CJ, who you picking and why?
This is the first one I'm gonna go kind of deviate from. I'm going with Bobby, and I think there'll be some shenanigans, but I think Bobby Lashley takes the title back.
Okay.
I actually agree. I don't think they're going to do the unification thing. So, and I think that Lesnar and Reigns is going to happen at Mania. So, I'm going to go with Lashley.
I'm going with Lashley as well. Well, more on that later, but yeah. I think it'd be silly if they unified the titles, but they're the epitome of silly right now, so who knows? Like, there's no real reason to try and put logic. When we do AEW predictions, we try and put logic and all. Knowing how they want to do things. They can go this way, they can go that way. If they go this way, it opens the door for this. But if they go that way, it opens the door for something else. And you know, with WWE, they could like I know somebody that entered the contest picked Johnny Knoxville. And you know what? It wouldn't fucking surprise me if Johnny Knoxville fucking won that thing. Like, it would not fucking surprise me. But, uh, I'm gonna go with Bobby
The only
Lashley.
thing that throws a wrench in that is Elimination Chamber. I think that some of they could still switch at that pay-per-view. So I'm not 100% on Lashley, but I think Lashley,
I'm going
or
Lashley,
it should
but
be Lashley.
but more on my reasoning why here in a bit. We're gonna start our Royal Rumble predictions with the women's Royal Rumble match. I know Easy, he's away, but he did predict Asuka to win the women's Royal Rumble. CJ, who are you picking to win the women's Royal Rumble?
So this one's kind of difficult. Um, they have announced a lot of women for the match, but there are still a lot of people up in the air on that. I think there's been a lot of talk about Ronda Rousey coming back and winning it, but she gave birth 3 months ago. And for us normal women, that aren't Ronda Rousey, that aren't beasts, 3 months is standard maternity leave to where we go back to our desk job and sit, not necessarily like wrestle. So I can't rule it out because it's her, but I can't say definitively that it could happen. They've talked about Bailey coming back because she's been gone. Asuka coming back, like EZ said. I'm gonna go for my hopeful spot and say that Bianca Belair not only repeats for the first time since Stone Cold Steve Austin, but wins to go back after Becky Lynch for the title at WrestleMania.
Okay. Nick, who are you picking and why?
I have the same. I'm picking Bianca as well. I'm gonna go. Okay, we have a lot of similarities on this one, so it's gonna come
Well,
down to a couple matches.
I'm gonna break the trend.
Okay. So
see,
yeah,
Gonna
I
go
think
for Johnny
the-
Knoxville.
Johnny Knoxville wins the Women's Royal Rumble. No. Charlotte Flair has entered the Women's Royal Rumble, saying that G1 Climax style, she'll pick her opponent if she wins as champion. See, it would make too much sense to go Bianca Belair to get her revenge on Becky Lynch. Like, that would be good storytelling, and that would be perfect, and that would make sense, you know. Kind of like how Daniel Bryan entering the Royal Rumble, trying to get back at the Authority who screwed him out of the title would make too much sense. That, you know, WWE is about not making sense when it comes to the Royal Rumble. So I'm going to go Charlotte Flair. I think Charlotte Flair wins.
That does make a lot of sense because it's 30 years. People are talking about Ric Flair again in their Rumble, and they don't like to kind of mix around with Flair anymore. So maybe just erase his win and his going through, and you know, she can't win the championship that way, but she can retain it that way.
Yeah. I mean, true. I was going to say, I think Charlotte wins. I think she might pick Ronda Rousey to for one night of WrestleMania and go from there. So, yeah, I am going Charlotte Flair to win the Royal Rumble, the Women's Royal Rumble. Now time for the Men's Royal Rumble. EZ's pick was Big E. CJ, who is your pick?
This one's really hard. Personally, what I would like to see is AJ win and get his WrestleMania main event, even if it's 2 nights. You know, technically he got a main
because
event.
the Boneyard match did not count.
Because the Boneyard match is a cinematic match, didn't count technically as a main event. This is the closest way AJ Styles is probably ever going to get a main event. And he probably still won't. But because
they'll find a way to they'll make it open the match just one time.
Yeah, because he's going for the Raw belt, so the Raw belt is not going to headline WrestleMania. Sorry, that's what I would love, but my official pick and what my brain says is that they're going to find a way to Jimmy in Brock Lesnar into the Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar's going to win to face Roman at WrestleMania for the true main event. That's the official pick.
Yeah, mine too. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Nick, you didn't deviate from this. Nick,
have they announced all 30 people?
They have not. So far, they've announced.
And my pick is Gunther.
You serious?
Yes, just like what I said in the other group chat.
Okay.
He eliminates 20 people. He beats Bobby Lashley at Elimination Chamber. Then he unifies the titles at WrestleMania.
Okay, then. Yeah, I'm going Brock Lesnar. He main events with Roman Reigns again, and then I sit down and think my lucky stars I'm not getting on that plane to waste my time watching that match that I did not like 4 years ago. And I thought it sucked 4 years ago, and I don't foresee it getting any better. So, but that's what's going to happen. So, hoorah! And this is why WWE is so much better than AEW, guys. If you don't agree with me, then use stupid Mox, and you should think like you're in the business. Or AEW is just not that good. Okay, take your pick. Speaking of AEW, Rampage from Friday night. The first match John Moxley versus All Ego Ethan Page with Scorpio Sky. I enjoyed this match. Moxley seems to, you know, came back with a new fire in his eyes, and he did really well. And then after the match, he was confronted by Bryan Danielson, which that'll be interesting. I can't say
But he
that
was clapping.
yeah, I
He
can't say
clapped. He's supporting.
like I get that it'll be a good match, but I can't say that I'm excited about John Moxley and Bryan Danielson. I've seen that match before. I know it'll be better in AEW, so like I'm not like complaining, but I'm also gonna say if you were to put in front of me, hey, list all the people that you can't wait to see Bryan Danielson wrestle in AEW. Um, None of the WWE people that he had like a significant matches with would pop up on the radar, and unfortunately, one of those is John Moxley. But they'll still more than likely tear the house down when they do wrestle. What do you guys think?
Mm, I thought it was a good match. Um, that's definitely where they're headed. I think at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good return. It was awesome to see him back. So he looked really good. So
Yep, he really did. You can tell like he's
Yeah.
like lost weight. You
hmm
know.
Well,
he
he's
he
lost
didn't look
like
bloated.
bloat. Yeah.
hmm
He's oh my god. Even like his hair looked better and thicker. Like he didn't look like he was so balding, and his face was less swollen. He was quicker around in the ring, even though he hasn't really wrestled in a few months.
Yeah.
I'm excited personally for the Bryan versus Mox. But that's me. I like them both. They'll have a great match if they're not handcuffed into things. So, and I think that they'll slow build it to where we're really going to enjoy
Yeah.
getting it eventually.
Uh, Next match, Trent Beretta versus Nick Jackson because unfortunately, Rocky Romero got COVID. So the Punk Mgf versus the Young Bucks, revisiting their uh, legendary rivalry from Japan. And I encourage all the Young Bucks haters to go seek out those matches, and then tell me that the Young Bucks don't know how to sell. Um, but anyway, I enjoyed this match. Nick is the one guy that can do singles out of the Bucks. Like Matt really can't, but Nick is a good singles wrestler. And yeah, I don't know.
Even though he went into tag like immediately, like it's not a tag team match, bro.
I think that was probably done
I
as a
know it was
joke, but yeah.
storyline. It wasn't like an automatic response, but still.
Yeah. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, it was good. I was sad we didn't get the rematch, and I guess we're gonna get that this Friday.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good match, and I think that tag team match will be awesome.
Yes, it will. I mean, if what we saw in Japan is anything to go off of, now it's time. I know this isn't the actual main event, but in our hearts, it is the main event. Hook versus Serpentico. Hook. Just Hook. I don't need to say anything else. Just Hook.
Geek's a real hooker.
Damn right.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, they've been doing great stuff with him.
he is really impressive for how new he is to
He's
it. I
better
think
than Anthony Ogogo after 3 matches.
he's better than Jade
Yeah,
Cargill after matches.
Yeah.
He's better than most people after 3 matches.
Yeah. I mean,
well,
you could throw out Prodigy when it came to Hook. I mean, for real.
people forget like how really actually like good Taz was too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it makes sense that like his son would be the type of wrestler that he is, being interested in it and trained by his dad his whole life, like, and just a natural like athletic kid. Like, I went back and watched some old Taz stuff a couple months ago, and it just like he did so long. He was an announcer for so long on SmackDown and then in TNA, and like he's almost not. He pretty much is more known for that now because his WWE run didn't, um, light the world on fire the way it probably could have.
Right.
But he was just an awesome wrestler, so it makes sense that Hook is so good.
All right, we got some. All right, we got a spam bot in here. Time to report unwanted content or spam. Okay, bye bye. All right. So the actual main event, which was also very very good, Jade Cargill versus Anna, 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 Anna Jay. I like this match. Like, again, it's kind of weird. Like, Jade has better matches with people that are a little bit less seasoned. It's odd. It's a good match. Told a good story, and I thought Anna was gonna win there for a bit, but she didn't. But like I always say, that's the hallmark of a good match when you know what you know who's gonna win, but then it makes you doubt who's gonna win midway through. So, anything else you guys like to add before we light the fuse and bring the boom?
No.
No, I would agree. It was a good one. It's just it's amazing how fast those rampages go by.
Yeah,
They're not always like blow your socks off like matches. Sometimes you do get a really really great match, but they just fly by because it's just a good hour of wrestling.
it's Sunday Night Heat, but it's like 1999 Sunday Night Heat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the least, and sometimes Dynamite really flies by for me too, but not always. But like just the way that they get their matches in there, they're not too long. You get some promos, you get some good matches, you get a squash match usually. Like it's the pacing on those are awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, it is now time to light the aforementioned fuse and bring the aforementioned boom. Let's talk AEW Dynamite Beach Break from the glorious sunny beaches of Cleveland, under construction since 1868. We start the show off hot with a TNT title unification ladder match. Holy shit, was this match great! Like, I mean, everything about this match was like, I don't want to say perfect, but like anything anybody could ask for about this match went down. It had a good story to be told. It had more seeds being planted with Cody maybe not being the swell feller that he wants to say that he is for justified or unjustified reasons. Had action, had good memorable high spots, and the right guy won. So, again, one of those instances where it's like, there's not much we can say about it. Just go check out the match.
Well, the flying cutter off of the small ladder to the bigger ladder was one of the most impressive ladder match spots I've ever seen.
Jesus.
It was so crisp. That was like the crispest type of move, one of those moves I've ever seen in a wrestling match. That was beautiful.
That needs to be in their opening package every single week.
Yes.
Yeah, that's their Jeff Hardy getting speared off of the hanging from the title match thing at WrestleMania. That's their version of that. Yeah, just really great. And I kind of like how the TNT belt it's not like traded around like the 24/7 title or something like the hardcore title, but it's more unpredictability than there is with the AEW World Championship because they want to keep that like the old school, like you have long title reigns and it's a big deal when it gets defended. And I kind of like how there's more defenses and you might get a 1 month or a couple week reign with that belt and you might lose it and get it back. So I think that's cool that they're establishing that division that way.
It's like a mix between the Intercontinental, like going to the 80s, the Intercontinental title from the WWF and the television title from the NWA. Yeah. Like if you could mix both of like you know, what each belt represented and how it was used, that's what the TNT title is.
And it could main event any given episode of television,
Yeah,
and it feels legitimate still. But there's
yeah,
also like that type of attitude era, like you literally like you're not guaranteed a long title run with that belt.
yeah,
So I like that there's the two kind of divisions in the singles for the belts. Like you have the long standard one, and then the more chaotic title scene.
yeah. Get the best of both worlds, which is part of the reason why
Hmm.
I believe AEW is the best wrestling company in the world right now. With flaws, sure, but still best wrestling company in the world for that reason. Um, Tony Schiavone interviewed Ricky Starks, who had a diving suit on. I mean, it was cold. I don't blame him. Uh, yeah, so there's that. Wardlow squash, but got a standing O because he's in his hometown of Cleveland. It wasn't just me
Hmm.
going, yeah, Wardlow this time.
Well, he's gets good guy reactions pretty much every week. He's not
The,
with
the the turn
MJF.
is coming. The turn is coming.
He
I think it's.
essentially like
I
he
think it's
already
coming
is.
soon.
He just is friends with a jerk.
It's coming sooner than we think, and yeah. And speaking of turns, Chris Jericho, Santana and Ortiz versus 2.0, and Daniel Garcia. We're seeing a lot of tension with Proud and Powerful and Chris Jericho, so definitely see, definitely don't see the inner circle as we know it staying together much longer. What do you guys think? Also, this was a good match too. Trios titles definitely need to be on the way.
Definitely.
I think that they'll be here this year. Um, but finally, Santana and Ortiz talk about they have not really been in the title picture for the tag team championships because they deserve to be. They always
Hmm.
deserve to be.
And you know what?
And
I'll finish your thought, but
no,
something.
well, the inner circle has like it was so great and it did elevate Dynamite when it first started and they needed it. We don't need it anymore. We don't need that faction anymore. They've kind of, for now at least, kind of had their run and it needs to kind of go away. Sammy doesn't need that push anymore. He's standing on his own.
He just needs
Chris
Fuego.
Jericho's not as funny as he used to be. I think he could deal with some time off. Jake Hager's not really been around much, and Santana and Ortiz need to focus as a tag team on their own. So I like the storyline of kind of breaking them up.
To be honest, and since they're breaking up the inner circle, unless you can come up with something super duper cool, I wouldn't mind if they didn't. Like, I don't want anybody to lose their job, but I wouldn't mind if they didn't renew Jake Hager and maybe had him go other places. Like, Jake Hager would be great in New Japan.
He'd be great in the NWA.
NWA, New Japan, like that'd be great. Like, there's so many of these guys. Like, he could go to the NWA and be champion immediately. He could go to New Japan and be never champion or United States champion fairly quickly and have a good run with it and have lots of good matches that cater to his skill set in the G1 climax. He's just kind of around in AEW. So while I don't like people getting fired, and I don't like people being released and not having an income, but the roster's bloated, and if you want to make room for some new guys to come in, him, Brian Cage, Joey Janela, be good places to start.
Well, the other two are coming due and probably not being renewed. I don't think I think Brian Cage has his deal has come
Yeah.
and is done, and I think Joey Janela is in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I the way they do factions has been so hit and miss with AEW from the start. Because sometimes it'll be, and we've talked about this before, sometimes it's like all about the faction and the inner circle. It's like inner circle versus another group, and then sometimes they're not together at all and they're all kind of doing their own thing. Um, so I don't know if you necessarily need to break them up, but I don't know. I'm really conflicted about it because I don't think it's doing much for anybody, but I
See,
think that
I
to have it in the background still going on, but they're kind of like how like a New Day type of thing. Like we're gonna go do our own things, and I know it's because they're on different brands, but we're gonna go do our own individual things. But if you're getting beat down, like we'll still come out and save you.
see,
Like you're not gonna be on your own.
I like that, but I also would like Proud and Powerful to be in their own faction with like Kingston, you
Hmm.
know, and I would like Sammy to start his own faction with Fuego. You
Well,
know, so it's like on one hand, I completely agree with you. Like hey, we're gonna go do our own thing, but we're still friends. Like that's something that I always was always a pet peeve of mine with WWE is like we're gonna go singles. Well, we gotta break up. You know,
Hmm.
like that.
and
I don't like these guys anymore. But I remember like when they were talking about pushing Big Cass back in 2016, 2017. They're like, oh, they're gonna break up. It's like, no, don't break them up. Just kind of let Big Cass go singles and Enzo still be friends. You know?
Hmm.
and I don't think that they always have to break up factions and groups like that. Like they don't have to feud as a breakup. The reason I like this the way it is because if Santana and Ortiz turn on Jericho, it it does kind of make them bad guys. It does turn them, and
Yes.
if bad guys, they can make a real quick run for those tag team titles.
Yes.
Hmm.
And that in this very specific bubble is why I like the idea to break them up.
Yes.
And it does seem like someone in AEW was listening to our tag team criticisms because we're
It's like
seeing
gotten better right out
Proud
the
and
gate, hasn't it?
yeah, Proud and Powerful. I mean, you had that first week with all the tag teams out there, and the
The
Proud and
Ass
Powerful
Boys.
and Private Party are getting a title shot, and
Ass Boys are there.
I'm glad that they're yeah, they're lurking around that title picture. So um, I definitely I don't know if I want them to be bad, but I mean, you listen to the crowd reactions, and Chris Jericho still very much gets like a good guy reaction.
Yeah.
The internet seems to have soured on him, but in the arena, he's still Chris Jericho. Like he might be annoying, and I think that he is, but he still has like an undeniable charisma and his
Yeah.
history, and just the fact that he's still good. Like, it's gonna be hard for him to get booed. Um, so I think you're right. I think that if split is gonna happen, like a real split, then Proud and Powerful as bad guys is the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is CM Punk MJF segment. Finally, like they have like the segment that's as good as everybody wants to say it is. Like this was finally like that great fucking segment between the two of them. Like I've had to hear that every segment was on the internet. I've had to hear that every fucking segment with MJF and CM Punk was just like the great like greatest thing that's ever happened, and I have yet to fucking see anything that's as good as what they said it is. This one is one where if you say that, I'm kind of I don't wouldn't say it's the greatest ever, but I'd say it's one of the better segments AEW's ever done. Like it's this one was good. I'm really nervous about next week because I I really don't see MJF winning. I see people said on Twitter like Wardlow's going to turn on MJF next week, and that's going to be MJF's feud, and that's what they're going to do because CM Punk, everybody. Nah, 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 nah. But if AEW is smart, want to do the right thing, you have MJF win this one. You have him. MJF has got to win. He has got to win. I know Wardlow is lurking around and he's going to be a big star. That can hold off for a little bit longer. You got to hold that off a little bit longer. This is the fucking time. Don't fucking sacrifice the guy that's going to carry your company for several more years to give CM Punk yet another fucking win in Chicago. Do the right thing. Let MJF get this match. You're probably going to be in Chicago in about what? 8 more months after this for a big pay-per-view. Let
He'll be
Punk get
back
his
in
win back then.
Chicago before that.
Yeah. But for a pay-per-view like that, let Punk get his win back. CM Punk won the WWE title and blew a kiss to Vince McMahon in Chicago. He made his epic return at a pay-per-view in Chicago. CM Punk can lose a match in Chicago to make one guy a living legend. Do the right thing, AEW. Do the right fucking thing.
Where do you go from there with Miz and with Punk or Miz? Oops.
Wow.
Freudian slip.
um, hopefully he never hears a clip of this because he'll roast the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where do you go with those two after that, if that's the case? If you have MJF win?
Well, with MJF, I think you start getting him ready for a title shot.
After Revolution.
Yeah, after Revolution. I think you start, I mean, you might, you could find one quick stopgap feud, I believe, but...
If we're kind of fantasy booking here, I see. So they do the match next week in Chicago. MJF wins off of some shenanigans by the Pinnacle. So they talk about it and they hem and haw around.
You probably ought to do a rematch at Revolution.
You do the rematch at Revolution in like a cage or something. Like you put a big stake on it. MJF tries more shenanigans, even though there's something like that going on. There's, no disqualification, a cage, something like that, a stip. MJF still tries shenanigans, and it backfires on him, where Wardlow turns on him there.
Yeah.
Like, that's where the break happens. CM Punk gets his win back on the pay-per-view. MJF turns to the Wardlow feud, kind of.
To go into Double or Nothing.
And then after that, where if MJF feuds with Wardlow before he gets a chance at the title, Wardlow's got to lose.
Wardlow can do to lose the first one and then, do the good guy thing and be like, I'm coming back. I'm coming back for your ass. What I would do... So, Double or Nothing, you do the Wardlow match, and then you do another big Hangman match. Like, I'd say you let Hangman go through, Archer, which, is the next segment we're going to talk about. They're going to do the Texas Death Match for the title, which I still don't think Archer should get a title shot because they've really protected that, but okay, whatever. They're going through with it. I disagree. I think you're bastardizing getting a title shot, but okay. Don't make a habit out of this. You let him get through Archer. Revolution, you maybe let him get through Moxley. And then at Double or Nothing, give him another big opponent. Maybe Double or Nothing, he goes through Moxley. I don't know.
I think he'll be against Adam Cole at Revolution.
Get Adam Cole at Revolution and then do Moxley at Double or Nothing. And then you could do MJF at, I wouldn't say All Out, but do MJF like at Fight for the Fallen or Fyter Fest. Like on one of those big dynamites. Or if there's a TNT special in between there, do Hangman and MJF there. And that's when you give MJF the belt. And then you could lead up to a third Punk match in Chicago for the belt, or you can go with a few other things in between. But I feel like that's where you do that, or you do All Out with MJF and Hangman. I feel MJF should lose the belt to CM Punk after a good reign. Like, if there's going to be, let MJF have his fun and let MJF get a win over CM Punk. Let MJF be the first to beat CM Punk. Because that also, once again, just like Hangman being the first to beat Bryan, MJF being the first to beat Punk is very symbolic of your company. So, again, do the right thing, AEW.
The more little ticks like that you put on MJF, the more you make him for the long term and for his age and how good he is, he deserves it. But then when he gets the belt, you don't have to keep it on him for this long.
Like,
he will be okay not having a really long title reign, like pay-per-view to pay-per-view.
yeah.
Even like we're talking a micro reign for AEW World Championship in the historic sense so far. He would be fine. He would not be damaged in the least little bit.
Yeah, so I would definitely like Double or Nothing, and then maybe Fyter Fest. MJF beats Hangman. We'll assume Fyter Fest is June, like the end of June, middle of June, a few weeks after Double or Nothing. Give MJF the belt. You could let him take that into All Out and lose to Punk. I mean, Punk wins the AEW title back in Chicago. It makes up for him losing to MJF in Chicago. And then you can give CM Punk a run, and then CM Punk can possibly lose to Darby Allin. Darby finally gets his win back on Punk and becomes AEW champion. You know, whether or not that happens, I don't know. We could have Wardlow turn on MJF immediately and harass CM Punk because he needs it.
I don't know. I'm interested just as a fan. Like, I don't know. The only way I'll come out of this being like extremely angry is if Punk beats MJF twice. If Punk wins this one and loses the pay-per-view, or they flip that one way or the other, I think
Yeah.
or MJF wins both, that like either one of those is fine. I would be okay with Punk winning in Chicago and then at Revolution MJF winning on the big stage.
But what would mean more? Honestly, to MJF.
It would mean more if he beat him at a pay-per-view to me.
Now, see, to me, it would mean more to beat him in Chicago.
See, to me, I look back at his feud with Jericho, and I think ultimately Jericho won that feud. And I saw MJF beat Jericho in Houston, and no one really remembers that. They remember him losing to Chris Jericho on pay-per-view.
True, but...
Yeah, but Jericho wasn't from Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but that's true. That, I mean, it will be a giant reaction, but it will be a giant reaction anywhere.
It'd be a giant reaction anywhere, but in Chicago, CM Punk is Christ.
I think that Chicago watching MJF hand CM Punk his first loss is the old school. I gotta have security guards on this guy until we get on the airplane after this match kind of heat.
And I agree. I think that should happen.
Yeah,
but the reason I
want MJF to win. If they come back for the pay-per-view, then I also want MJF to win that match.
The reason that I don't think it will happen is a lot of people in the AEW fan base pride themselves with AEW because you're not beaten in your hometown AEW. You look good. And there would be a lot of people mad for the wrong kind of reasons because how dare they make CM Punk lose in Chicago? What is this, WWE?
Well, that's something that like Jim Cornette talked about a couple weeks ago. It was like people hate like tropes that are used too much in WWE, but it's not because they're bad. It's like they're like quintessential wrestling tropes. It was like it's because they get used too much or used inefficiently. Like it's not inherently bad to get beat in your hometown, but it's bad if you always get beat in your hometown. So it's like a count out or a DQ. Like DQ in AEW would be a big deal. It was a big deal when Punk did it to MJF. Like that never happens.
Yeah.
So if you use them sparingly, which you know how it should be used, any type of trope, then it's a good thing. It's not automatically bad just because it's the way WWE does it. Because WWE does it the same way wrestling has been doing it forever. They just do things in an uncreative way.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Like again, CM Punk giving one up for possibly winning the title at All Out. Come on. But I could see everybody getting very, very angry about they made CM Punk lose to MJF in his hometown. How dare you? How dare you do that, CM Punk? Don't you know he needed the win against MJF? Because, yeah. But this has got to happen. I don't care. Wardlow's going to turn. It shouldn't happen in Chicago. there is way too much
Well,
at
that takes
stake.
the moment off of that moment anyway.
Yeah.
But I do not like the idea of MJF losing yet again on the final match of a feud. So even if Wardlow turns, if that happens, then he needs to like defeat Wardlow like soundly afterward, and that's also a bad idea. So I don't want them to like paint themselves into a corner.
Which they might have done. Hopefully not though. Hopefully they just do the right thing, AEW. Do the right thing. Next match, Layla Hirsch versus Red Velvet. I really wanted to like this match, and I could not get into it.
Me too.
Like, I like Layla Hirsch. I like Red Velvet. I was excited for this match, and I just... And it's not because they're bad
Layla is my
wrestlers.
favorite.
Yeah, and it's not because they're bad wrestlers. I just... It was like, okay, Jim Gaffigan is my favorite comedian, but he has one comedy special I can never get through. It's not because it's not funny, but it's just kind of like, it's not tickling the funny bone of all the other fucking Jim Gaffigan specials that are out there where, like, I'm, like, coughing and wheezing from the laughter. It's just kind of like, that's funny. That's funny. Okay, that's a little less funny. Hey, I'm on my phone. Okay. Oh, shit, I just missed, like, 20 minutes of the special. Oh, let me go rewind it. What I missed. Okay, I'm going to really pay attention to this special. Okay, I'm looking around my house because this one's, I'm not laughing as hard. Okay. Like, that's kind of how I felt about this. Hey, I should think this is great. I should be into this. But I just couldn't. And I'm sorry.
Well, I applaud the fact that there was a non-title storyline for the women.
Yes,
and it
that's all.
involved
That's very good.
Layla Hirsch, who's one of my favorites. But I would agree. I think, and honestly, as you know, a mark, which we say on the title of this, someone who doesn't really know anything about wrestling outside of just watching it for my whole life, it looked like two green wrestlers having a green wrestler match and it just not clicking. Like there were some things I was watching it with her, my fiance was in the room and she looked and there was like a knee that Layla Hirsch hit and she was like, who she's not the person to like point out whenever wrestling looks fake, but she was like, oh, she turned her head like way early. And it was just little things like that that just it just didn't click. And I don't know if there was somebody there, maybe there wasn't someone to guide it that didn't have enough experience, but yeah, it just which is, I like Layla Hirsch a lot. She's one of my favorites. She's had some awesome matches on TV.
Yeah. And, like I said, I love Layla Hirsch. I want her to be in Team Taz. Like, she is the epitome of, like, I want the females in all the stables to kind of, or not all the stables, but, like, something like Team Taz could do with a female in the stable, or, the Pinnacle could do with a female in the stable. And I want Layla Hirsch in Team Taz, but I don't know, like I said, even my favorite comedian, like, struggled to hold my attention, and I couldn't get into one of his specials. And, usually I get excited about a Jim Gaffigan special, but there was one occasion I wasn't. Usually I get excited about a Layla Hirsch match, but this one just missed the mark for me. CJ, what'd you think?
Yeah, I had kind of the same thing. And I think that part of it was just the show that it was on. Maybe if this wasn't such a big exciting dynamite, then maybe this match wouldn't have seemed so down.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. I like both of them too. I like the idea that we're doing this. Don't stop just because we had a little bad match. Please continue. Please continue. You can even continue this feud. They've got nowhere to go but up if you want to put these two back together. Or you can have Layla Hirsch face Chris Statlander now because she's a part of the feud. It's fine. Just keep going. I like the concept of this. Don't stop.
Right. All right. Well, speaking of the women's division, Tony Schiavone segment with his best friend, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, cuts a hilarious interview where if you're not from Cleveland, you find it hilarious. If you're in Cleveland, you hate it. So cool. I enjoyed it. This is why she's one of the best wrestlers in the world, regardless of gender. And yeah, good segment. Check it out. Nothing we can say can do it justice.
It just seemed kind of unnecessary to me. It didn't really, I don't know, establish anything. And I'm one that agrees and complains that every promo gets interrupted, so it was nice to see one not. But it just, I don't know, it didn't seem like it accomplished anything.
Now, see, I feel like it was trying to accomplish something, but it kind of goes back to she insulted a hometown, and if you're not from Cleveland, you're not as offended by that as maybe it'd be if it was just more rude across the board. But I think it did establish something because Britt gets cheered a lot, and we needed to hear an audience boo Britt Baker because at the end of the day, Britt's a villainess, and you gotta boo that.
I think that was the exact point of it. Is she had some material on Cleveland, so she decided she picked her spot. That was it, and we haven't really heard a Britt Baker promo in a while. She had the opportunity with all the accolades she got for end of year awards and stuff to kind of put her. I think
be
it did kind of
braggadocious.
Set it up. Yeah, she's getting a big head about this. I think that it does kind of build up for her downfall. We didn't immediately see who was going to take her down yet, but I think it is a step in the downfall of Britt Baker where she didn't even have Jamie Hayter or Rebel out there with her. She's getting a big head. She's on top of the world. She is the best. She can't be touched. So we're kind of building that whole mystique up. So the crash is coming. I think that was kind of the point.
Starting with Jamie Hayter probably turning on her, and okay, well now
I think so.
Jamie Hayter turns on her first, and you have that match, and it's like, okay, well her entourage is smaller, and then down the road you bring in Thunder Rosa to go, hey, let's do it for real this time. Let's not do an unsanctioned match. Let's do it for real for that belt, and then Thunder Rosa gets that moment, and yeah. Dare I say, for a title reign that was criticized and said, oh my god, it's not really working out that well at the very beginning of it, you could argue, it's not definitive, but you could make a solid argument that so far Britt Baker has had the best title run in AEW history. I mean that sincerely. Like, I think she's had a better title reign than Kenny Omega. I don't
think that's definitely.
I don't think the Kenny Omega reign was. I thought it was good, but I don't think it was as good as like what a lot of people feel it was. I think she had a better reign than Moxley. I feel like she's had.
Jericho would be the only competition for me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It might be like 1A and 1B for me.
Yeah,
for her Jericho.
She had a better reign than all the tag team champions so far.
I did enjoy Cody's first reign as the TNT champion.
Yeah, I think the only the top three.
Was a good one too.
Yeah,
Darby was a good one.
The top five are first Cody, Darby, and Miro TNT, Jericho World Title, and Britt. Maybe even you could throw in Sheeta, but I think she like.
The pandemic ones are all tainted to me.
Yeah, and even with Sheeta, as hard as she worked and as great and long of a reign as she had, Sheeta busted her ass during that reign. It was still, while the women's division AEW was still had yet to kind of get the depth and get as formed as it was. So it was, gonna bring a rare football reference. Hikaru Shida was like the Denver Broncos in the 80s. It was John Elway just pulling that team. Hey, and more insult to Cleveland because he's the one that single-handedly kept Cleveland out in the Super Bowl twice. So there you go. But yeah, that's kind of where Shida was. Like, that's not saying everybody was bad, but like when Britt got the belt, the women's division kind of came up a little bit more too. You got your Ruby Soho. Thunder Rosa's a full-time member now, even though her and Sheeta had a match. The more emphasis was put on the women's division when Britt got it. So, yeah, Um, and speaking of lights out matches, uh, Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy. This match was okay. I like they took advantage of the unsanctioned sort of thing well, and I'm gonna also want to point this out. I like how AEW keeps records, so that way they can do a match like this, and they kind of get to have their cake and eat it too a little bit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they do it with Orange Cast, this, and they did it last year with Britt and Thunder Rosa, where you can have a feud end in an unsanctioned match, and you can have the hero or the heroine win and get that big moment and get that revenge and get the fans get that satisfaction of seeing Thunder Rosa or Orange Cassidy win, but you still get to rest on the laurels of we keep records here. You got the win, but you didn't get the win in a match to where it's going to have an effect on the standings. So the villain or villainess can go out the next week and still be like, all right, well, I'm still number 3, and now that that's taken care of, time to go for the title. Britt did it.
Yeah, it's an earned cop out.
Yeah, Britt did it last year. She lost to Thunder Rosa, but oh hey, not non-sanctioned. I'm still coming for Hikaru Shida at Double or Nothing. And now Adam Cole can go, hey, I still want Hangman Page at
Still
Revel.
undefeated.
I'm still technically undefeated, and I still want the world title, so he could go after Hangman Page at Revolution or Double or Nothing. So
I believe he's the #1 contender right now.
yeah, so probably Revolution.
Probably. I had a problem.
What was your problem?
So in kind of the beginning stages, they're talking about the lights out match and how it doesn't count and everything, and they did the light flippy switch thing that Tony Khan seems to really really like. And Justin Roberts is like, AEW is not responsible. We can't we it's not an AEW match.
I like that. I do like that as part of the atmosphere. At least Justin Roberts saying that.
Okay, cool. I do too. We're on the same page, So we start the match and the commentators are talking about it, and JR says, well, there'll still be a winner and they're still getting paid, but somebody will get paid more. Okay, if it's a lights out match and the rankings don't count to this and AEW is not responsible for what happens here, then why are they paying them?
Or at least why are they paying them more?
It sounded like he said that only the winner gets paid to me, which also doesn't make sense.
Either way, it doesn't make sense. So to me, if I pay you for something that
service.
This is my finance brain. If I pay you for something, that makes me liable. If I pay you to murder someone, I'm an accomplice. So you don't get out of, murder charges because you paid somebody else to do it. And I don't think you get out of liability in a lights out match because you paid them to do it. The whole point of the lights out match is it's a grudge, it's a blood feud. It's boiled over so much that the company is scared of what you two will do to each other, and you want each other so bad that you're willing to sign waivers saying that we're not going to hold the company liable if something bad happens. We just want to fight. So that little thing kind of, it made me twitch. It's not like a big deal, and it's probably not it's something that JR probably came with on his own. I'm sure it wasn't told to him. If it was, tighten up the ship a little bit. Don't talk about that again. Like, we don't have to go into that intricate detail on this.
Right.
We can talk about some intricate details. We can talk with Team Taz and contracts, though. That'd be cool if we could revisit that shit. But that's a whole nother little sidebar. The fact, this is nitpicking. I'm in audit mode in my personal life right now. So this is me. I can't find a major flaw in my audit of the program, but I can nitpick some little things that they can tighten up to really really make the ship run at like top efficiency. Um, I also still like this was supposed to be a really big deal match, like big, you hurt my girlfriend and I'm gonna freaking kill you. But we still had comedy spots, which is fine for both of those guys, but I would have really liked to have seen less in this type of match.
Which,
Like the
which, which,
Danhausen.
which brings me to the next thing. There was a cameo of AEW's very nice, very evil signing, Mr. Danhausen, and okay, I'm gonna let, because I know they have a little bit more of a stronger opinion than me. I don't get it completely, like, but I get that got a big following and he's charismatic and a lot of people like him, and I've even heard that Jim Cornette likes Danhausen, so it's like, okay, he's got it. I just don't get it. Like, I don't fucking get it. Like, it, okay, like, I am in the minority, and like, I don't like have IRL reasons with how he's treated people that I know that have been around him, to like why like I'm not on the train as with him as much as other wrestlers. CM Punk. Sorry, frog in my throat. But I don't get it. Like, I don't. He has teeth, and he wants a blimp, and he doesn't like cussing, but he's demonic, and I I don't get it. I don't understand.
He doesn't like cussing because you can't cuss on TV, and he's trying to get as much money as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he doesn't like cussing.
He can get
Okay.
And that's why
booked at
he's
family
nice.
shows.
Yes. His entire character motivation is he wants as much money as possible to buy a blimp. It's a very simple character motivation, but it also has inherent logic.
Okay, then what's with the teeth?
Because teeth are not an illegal object because everybody has teeth, so you can't get disqualified for using teeth.
Okay.
This is
There's a
good.
lot. There's literally a logic behind all of the silliness with Danhausen.
This is gonna be Geek's Orange Cassidy. Like that's the easiest way I can. We've gone round and round. I'm on the train. He's not on the train. It's fine. There are people that he's on the train on, and I'm like, yeah, I don't.
But see,
Whatever.
unlike a lot of people who don't like Orange Cassidy, I'm not going, God damn, fucking fire him. He has no talent. Kill the fucking business. Wrestling would be better if he wasn't there. I'm just going, hey, this guy ain't for me. This guy ain't for me. I don't get it. Not for me right now. Have yet to have a moment, and right now, not for me. Unlike the people that want to hate on Orange Cassidy, I'm going, okay, there is an audience for this, and I am not said audience. But just because I am not said audience does not mean he should be on this television program.
That's... I mean, I'm on the train. I'm on board. I'm here for it. But I literally feel like he signed the contract and he's like, hey, so let's talk about my debut. Well, how are we gonna do this? What are we gonna do? And they're like, well, we got a lights out match coming. Like, well, how am I going to play into that? I don't know. We'll have you come out of the ring or something. And then they totally fucking forgot until it was time to happen. And he's like, so what am I doing? Am I still coming out from like under the ring or something? And they're like, oh shit. Yeah, I guess. Like that's what I feel like the plan happened. Like that's what I feel like legitimately happened
Last minute
backstage
energy.
on Wednesday night. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm cool with it. I'm great. He could have even like come out and been like cursed, and then like, oh, that's how Adam Cole lost the damn match. Danhausen cursed him. Like that's logical and makes sense if you're on the train. Like, cool. Nope, didn't happen. Okay.
Yeah.
It was strange knowing that he has signed a contract. It was strange. If it was just like a throwaway gag, like a sight gag of like, oh, people who know will like this, and if you don't, you're just like, what the fuck? Like the way Adam Cole looked, like what is happening? But the fact that this is like his formal debut for a company he signed for was odd. But I think I said this, like you need to. The problem with recent signings, and Jay Lethal is the absolute poster child of this,
Mm-hmm.
is if you don't have something for them to do, don't sign them until you do. So if Danhausen is just gonna like meander around for a couple weeks, like you didn't need to sign him right now. And if you do sign them, don't debut them until you have something to do. Just pay them to be at home because you want their contract to let them work indies. But like, if you're afraid someone else is gonna scoop
Now,
them up,
I could see them like making Danhausen like the Stan Lee of like AEW
The
for a minute.
Hornswoggle.
Yeah, or Hornswoggle, where he's just kind of like, well, I was
He
like
just pops out from under the ring like he freaking lives there.
I wouldn't say that, but I'd say like he's just like kind of like how they do with Orange Cassidy first, like, and here's a cameo from Danhausen, and here's a cameo from Danhausen, and here's a cameo from Danhausen. And then eventually, like, it's gonna like build up to like, when are we gonna see something from Danhausen? And then it'll be like to most of the audience, but not me. But that's okay. All right, Danhausen. He's very nice, very evil.
you know what I don't want is for him to feud with Adam Cole. That would be the worst thing possible for Adam Cole's career, to go from Orange Cassidy to Danhausen and
I
hanging out
think
with the
that's
Young
what's
Bucks
gonna
to
happen.
Christmas music. Oh, R.I.P.
Forever mid card. You're welcome.
Or it could be the best thing to ever happen to him because
Imagine taking someone that was like the next, people are like, the next Shawn Michaels, and then you have him feud with like Tony the Tiger and the Lucky Charms guy for his first two feuds. Like, it's just, I don't know.
well, Orange Cassidy, no, I thought you came around on him, but I guess you
I
just,
do,
but I
but
guess
I
you listened to the
do.
Jim Cornette Experience before you came on here, so you're in Orange Cassidy sucks
No,
mode,
I
right?
have come around to Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy is a big star, but to go from one comedy feud to a second comedy feud, to a second comedy character at least, this feud, didn't necessarily end in comedy, but
Yeah.
I think
Kind of
that would
did.
be career suicide. I mean, the hug, yeah,
Yeah, he beat
sort
him with
of.
a hug. Essentially, he beat him with a hug.
But I'm also gonna say I've said this about Adam Cole. Like I get what everybody's saying, but here's another minority opinion. I think Adam Cole, when he's not the big fish in the small pond, isn't what everybody thinks he is. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying I hate him or that he shouldn't be a big star or he's not a future world champion or any of that, but I stand by, like, when Adam Cole was in NXT and it, like, granted there was some good talent in NXT, but when he was in NXT and he wasn't, like, on the main roster, yeah, he's the biggest star. When he was in Ring of Honor that no longer had a lot of their top guys, yeah, except for AJ coming in every now and again, yeah, Adam Cole's best guy in the company, sure. When I see Adam Cole in AEW, and there's Bryan Danielson, and there's Kenny Omega, and there's John Moxley, and yes, there's CM Punk, and even with some other people that weren't old guard, there's MJF, there's Cody Rhodes, there's Chris Jericho.
Even Sammy, honestly.
Yeah, there's Sammy Guevara. Adam Cole is like a very, very good, but one could argue upper mid card compared to those guys. And that's fine. That's not me saying he's bad. Tito Santana was a great wrestler. But when you were on the same show as Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man and Mr. Perfect and, all these other names, poor Tito just kind of was hung out to dry a little bit. As a kid, I really liked Savio Vega. Adam Cole's a little bigger than Savio Vega, but you get what I'm saying? Like, sometimes.
Yeah, but I think it's been the present. I think honestly, and I get what you're saying because I think you could draw comparisons even back to like him being in New Japan, which I don't think he was ever full time, but he was on like Wrestle Kingdoms and stuff.
Yeah.
And compared to the talent over there, even he wasn't at the top. Um,
Yeah.
so I think you could that goes to support your opinion, but I honestly believe a majority of it has just been the presentation since he's got there. I think that it's just very reminiscent of Miro when he first came in. The
I
problem is you can't turn him into an unstoppable badass like they did
I,
Miro.
I
So
don't
I don't
think
know how you're gonna have
I
that.
think the saving grace with Adam Cole is gonna be when we essentially have Undisputed Era versus the Elite.
Hmm.
That is coming, and that is going to be
When he
that is
gets serious.
that is going to be when it gets really serious, and that is going to be his turning into God's favorite champion moment.
Because that's what he needs. He needs to be serious because, like I said, I like Orange Cassidy, I like Danhausen, but you don't. To me, you either need to be like a comedy character and then do a very minimal amount of comedy, or serious. And I'm a very serious man with my wrestling, and Adam Cole and the Young Bucks are just too silly all the time, and but they're still not like jokes. So it doesn't work. I think that's why that's the same thing with Miro. Like Miro was very silly, but he wasn't a joke, and that's why just that presentation doesn't work. And I don't know how they haven't learned that yet, but
I think the reason why they haven't learned it is because they're still doing good ratings, and it's still over with the audience. I mean, let's call a spade here. We can talk about how we can go okay boomer to Jim Cornette and why he doesn't like Orange Cassidy and go listen to this reaction. Go fuck yourself, Jim, or at least I'll say that gleefully. I can say that when Bully Ray says Adam Page should have lost the belt in his first defense on AEW Dynamite because that's heat, bro. And go like, no, that's not going to draw any ratings. And here's a million viewers that say why. Just add more to the reason why you're a fucking moron, Bully Ray. I think you can passionately say I don't like the presentation of these people this way, and not have a bad point. There's still a lot of people that are okay with that. So what do we know?
hmm
I
I
do. Would I personally, want to see it that way? No, but like I kind of get it. I'm also kind of like I'm ready to see something a little more serious from the Elite. But on the flip side, like I kind of got it. You're gonna cheer the young. If the Young Bucks weren't acting like that, they were gonna get cheered. If Kenny Omega wasn't acting like that, he was gonna get cheered because
but then you're
they're
saying
Kenny
that
Omega and the
people
Young
like that
Bucks.
though. You're saying in one breath that the people like that, and then the other breath that's the only way that they're gonna get booed.
People are gonna. They're gonna get booed, but people are going to want to watch them get beat up by whoever the strong person is against them. Be it John Moxley, be it Jurassic Express, be it the Lucha Bros, be it Orange Cassidy, be it Christian, um,
I don't
Jungle
think that
Boy.
there's. I don't think very many people like it. Honestly, I just that's really just completely anecdotal and assumption based. I have no stats for that, but I think people like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks despite that stuff. Like I do. I don't think very many people in the world like them because of it. I think they like it, and that's how they want to present it. But I don't think that like a majority of wrestling fans like that.
We'd
And I
have
do
to.
think that's why they get booed.
We'd,
But
we'd, we'd have to bring up a poll, but it depends on where the poll is. Here on the internet, they're going to say, Nick, you're an idiot.
well, it depends on
Whereas
what
maybe if we
internet.
do it at a live event, they'll say, Nick, you're a genius. And if we do it this Saturday at the Royal Rumble, there might be people going, AEW sucks. Why are you asking me about it? Who knows? Um,
I I think they kind of get away with it because of who they are.
But they
Not
could.
not necessarily to the crowd, but like they still get because we don't necessarily see the quarter hour ratings and the whole breakdown on ratings, but Tony Khan does. Um, and if you kind of look back, like the Hardy Family Office stuff got pushed real hard, and it was still kind of like it wasn't the same kind of comedy and stupid shit, but it was stupid shit. and it had a very negative reaction on the ratings, and it had it on the like it was worldwide. Like the crowd didn't really react to him, the internet didn't react well to him, the ratings started to drop on those segments, and they kind of got pushed back. Like, okay, we're gonna scale back on this. We're gonna scale back on like the Nightmare Family way back when that was a whole thing. Like things that get really goofy when it doesn't involve the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega tend to get their shot to see if it can get over and then immediately get yanked back. It's like the old comedy sketch of the giant cane just like yanking him out of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's what I
also want
mean.
to.
It's in spite of
But
that.
well,
It's
okay,
they're
but
going to
Nick,
do
And
I
I
what
want
they
think
do.
Nick, I want to point this out. You know, you say it's in spite. Kenny acted just like this in New Japan when he was the best thing ever. Like when he first like kicked AJ out of the Bullet Club, Kenny was doing like quite a bit of this same shit. They were the elite were going out there and parroting the New Day on New Japan tours, and he's choking with Red Shoes back turn. He's choking a dude with a broom, and he's going, "Hey, look at me! I'm cheating!" Point
Well,
blank
let
on
me
New
tell you
Japan
this
Pro
though.
Wrestling. So like, there's a precedent.
What made them blow up? Was it Meltzer drivers and matches with Kazuchika Okada, or was it because they were being silly in Japan?
It's a
What
little bit
made
of
Bullet Club
both.
shirts? No,
Yes,
it's not.
yeah.
Nobody talks about his promos from New Japan. They
I'm not
talk
talking
about his
about his promos.
matches.
I'm talking about being the elite. Which also,
Yeah,
I know you're not gonna like the stupid bullshit on being the elite was probably as much to play in this event behind me coming to fruition as 7-star matches with Kazuchika Okada and Cody Rhodes. It was 3 equal parts. I'm not saying I am in love with that aspect of Kenny Omega, but I'm saying that this was something that was making a lot of people enjoy them. Enjoy the Young Bucks, enjoy Kenny Omega, enjoy the Elite when they brought along some dude with an umbrella, Cody and Hangman. A lot of this was a package, and I just find it funny that people act like, oh, why is Kenny just doing this? And it's like, Kenny was doing this in 2016 and 2017. Like, he kind of went away with it a little bit in 2018. So I'll give you that. But when Kenny was blowing up, he was doing this too.
all of the big, most buzzed moments, which again, this is not really quantifiable, but the times the Elite had the most buzz were not silly things. Whenever Kenny first won the title from Moxley, when Kenny was supposed to have a good barbed wire match that ended up being terrible because of the ending, but when FTR came in, like all of that stuff, when it was maximum buzz for the Elite, the Hangman storyline, none of that was silly. All the stuff in between that makes you say Kenny Omega's title reign wasn't that good, that's the stuff that, the buzz goes down when they're not having really good
I
matches.
get what you're saying,
And
but
that's why I think people put up with it, because they have good matches. That's why I put up with it.
but but what I'm saying is like, you're acting like that this is like a completely new thing for Kenny. Oh, well, they let them have too much control in their own company, and now they're acting goofy, and it's numb. It's like, no, all of this was going on like when the buzz was coming. Yes, there were 5-star matches with Okada. Yes, there was a big tag team title reign in Ring of Honor. Yes, Cody Rhodes came in there, and yes, there was some British guy that we don't talk about anymore. But Kenny's character had the same elements of the goofy, maybe not with the volume turned as much up as it was in AEW, but it was there in New Japan. So, like, I just don't think like this is like a new concept.
That's not what I said though. This is like you're attacking an argument I never made.
But like,
yeah, it's more of the why are they still allowed to do it? Because everybody seems to be whether it happened in New Japan or ROH or on YouTube, it's still happening in AEW, and it seems to be, even if it's been happening for 5 years, people seem to be over it now.
I mean,
Like,
I will say I'm over it, but I'm also going to say, like, I get why they're going to keep doing it, because they're still drawing ratings, and it's still what brought them to the dance somewhat.
I don't think though.
I
that
don't think
though.
that's what brought him to the dance. I think this is
It's
like
a part of
the
what brought
Long
him to the
Island
dance.
story. It's because being the elite was big because they were doing it, not because it was good. Like those old Zack Ryder YouTube videos weren't like good, but no other wrestler did that. And that's why it was like a big deal and it was cool and it was unique and it was fun at the time. I
Well,
don't think anyone has ever thought it was high quality stuff. It was just they were like, oh, they're doing this consistent, like behind the scenes, they're doing their own storylines. This is really cool that they're doing it. We're not saying like this is Emmy worthy TV. It's
well,
just a
yeah, I
cool
never
thing
claimed
they're
it's Emmy
doing.
worthy TV, but I think a lot of people were. I thought being the elite until like it had to jump the shark moment, especially like when AEW formed. Like being the elite really jumped the shark, but like before AEW began, uh, being the elite was. I'm not gonna say it's Emmy worthy TV, but I thought it was an entertaining YouTube video, and it's like, hey, this is funny. Like I get why this is funny. I enjoy this. I like how they present it. I I think that like I love all of that being the elite stuff as much as I did 2017. No, but do I think there's still a lot of people that do? Yeah, which is why while you're over it and she's over it, and I am not as in love with the Kenny Omega and the Bucks as I was in 2018 and 2019, I understand that there's going to keep doing this. I understand like why they're going to keep having this be part of their characters because it's there, you know. It's like the New Day, you know. The New Day is still going to be funny.
Okay. Okay. So you said like this is what brought them to the dance.
It's a
So I'm
part
gonna
of
make
what
an
brought them to
office.
dance, yeah.
I'm gonna make an office reference for you. In in the episode after they dissolved the Michael Scott Paper Company, and they're having the cafe disco in the old Michael Scott Paper Company office. They're having a dance off. We're talking about what brought you to the dance. They're having a dance off. Do you come into the dance off with a robot and then in the second round still go for the robot and then third round still go for the robot? No, Aaron's shouting at you, what else you got? And you got to go for the splits.
Okay.
You
Was a
have
beautiful
to
reference.
evolve
Yeah.
yourself. You can't do the
Yeah, you
same
gotta
shit
go. Okay, I agree. But
over and over and over.
unfortunately, you also have, unlike in that episode, you have a bunch of judges that apparently are still, at least where they're going to, there's still quite a few people going, oh my god, epic reference. Oh my god, Kenny's wearing that shirt. Oh my god. And I can go, hey, let's scale that back. I want to see, you know, I want to see 2018 pursuing Okada Kenny more than, you know, 2016 I just beat Tanahashi Kenny. You know, I want to see.
That's the Kenny that made him a superstar though. Is that serious Kenny? The most serious, the more that's I will always consider that the more serious they've been has been their generally more well
But
received
he also had a goofy run in
segment.
between then when he was still getting that buzz as U.S. champion. That also happened. So I'm just like, I get what you're saying. I don't completely disagree with you. I'm saying there's a little bit more than, whoa, what the fuck? Oh, why
I
the
think
fuck they
that's
still doing this
like a
shit sort of thing.
apologist cop out too, to just be like, people are watching it, so they're gonna keep doing it. Like you could say that about the WWE for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm. I mean, that is the
And
mentality of
that's a
wrestling.
bad
I don't
argument
I
to
don't
say that.
enjoy it. I'm saying I see why they're trying to do it. I see that this is like why there's enough people that are going, we like this, that they're gonna go, hey, we're not gonna quit because three jackwagons on YouTube are saying stop it, and some guy, you know, also said stop it when there's, you know, okay, there's a million viewers. If 300,000 are sick of it and 700,000 like it, they're probably going to keep doing it.
I'm not saying because three people don't like it. I think that those segment breakdown ratings are telling him the same thing, and he can't yank it like he can the others because those are three EVPs.
And because people are going to watch them regardless
Hmm.
because of their reputations.
But
And
in
I
in
think
the
that
like quarter hours I've seen, Kenny Omega at the end of his championship reign that I did see the quarter hours for, he dipped. He dipped way below what their average was. Most of the internet just talks about the average of the 2-hour show, and that's fine. Tony Khan can see every 15 or 10-minute segment and see how the rating goes up and down and up and down and up and down. And the biggest draw to AEW wrestling in the entire history of their company has been Sheldon Cooper, not Kenny Omega. And that was shoot, brother.
Yeah. I do think it's funny hearing this because the general narrative on the internet is Cody was ruining AEW and they've outgrown Cody, when in this circle we believe they've outgrown some of that stuff, but they're going to keep doing it, which is what's going to lead to a clash within the fan base. I mean, I don't agree with anything. I agree with everything you've just said. I think there's still a little room for some fun having Kenny and some fun having Young Bucks, because wrestling's supposed to be fun. But
yeah.
But I also don't. But I don't agree with the general consensus on the internet that Cody Rhodes is the one that, now that he has a contract, needs to, take a back seat, or needs to say less of his ideas, or let's create the headcanon that I bet you he's leaving because they got tired of his outdated ego. When you can make the same argument that being the elites jumped the shark. But at the same time, anytime I see a Kenny Omega segment, the only feedback I ever get is hilarious. Keep doing that. Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks. So who knows? Who knows?
Well, we'll see if Adam Cole,
Adam Buzz, baby. See Buzz Lightyear?
Adam Cole's buzz rebounds when he starts being serious, it will be yet another notch in the argument to make the main guys more serious.
Yeah. I mean, but here's
I believe wholeheartedly that will be the case.
But here's something that just based on all we've talked about. Who's the best world champion? We all kind of said probably Jericho. He had goofy moments in his reign too.
Jericho was gouging out people's eyes.
He was gouging out people's eyes, but he was also, screaming from behind an ice cream cone stand going, I bought a ticket! I bought a ticket! And that's arguably the best championship reign in AEW history. I mean, that's a controversial take within itself, with other folks, but
there is a balance to it. It's not always all serious, but it can't always be Brandon spraying people in the eyes with cold spray,
right,
and dancing around to Space Jam music and being
Ghostbusters uniforms. You can make yourself look stupid, but if you make wrestling look stupid, which is what I think they do, and that's the difference between that and Jericho.
You just have to find a really, really happy medium. You have to walk a tightrope. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying that not everybody on that roster can fail at this. I'm not just calling out those three. Orange Cassidy is, I've said it kind of in the Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole match. There is a very tight rope you have to walk to hit that level of perfection. Chris Jericho coming into AEW just happened to hit his perfect stride on that tightrope at just the right time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've said that I'm kind of, I don't love all of the, in 2021 that I like Kenny Omega. I didn't love Kenny Omega. I made the Dale Earnhardt comparison on our year-end award show, where he was still good, but he wasn't on the legendary status he was the few years before. But if I say that in front of a mass group of AEW fans, a lot of them are going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. So, I don't know. I don't know if... The bottom line on this is when the majority of the fan base says, no, we like this, would they change? Or would they go, no, this is the reason we should keep doing this? That's kind of
I can't imagine anyone is watching for them wearing Ghostbusters uniforms. I just can't. I see that in my mind. I can see people liking it and maybe being like, "Oh, I liked it when they were silly," but I can't imagine anyone being like, "This is fucking just WWE now," even though WWE has been silly for forever.
I don't know. That's that's the only thing where I see, hey, this is why they maybe won't do what we kind of want to see. I going back to a motorsports reference, I only want to see IndyCar go to the Indianapolis road course once a year, but when I found out how much money they make off of going to that road course twice a year, I go, well, I hate that, but it's sold out and they make a lot of money, so fuck me, right? That's kind of the way I'm kind of feeling about this whole thing. Is I don't want to see this, but anytime I say that out of this bubble, and even within this bubble, sometimes it's like, well, you're outvoted, so I guess I'm at least going to mention why we're outvoted, you guys.
I don't even know how you would even gauge like what a fan base thinks because of how weird reactions are in various spaces.
That is very true. Well, we got off the subject, but I actually like that we brought this up because I want to pass this subject on to everyone else. If you did not join us live, if you're joining us later on, please let us know what you think about that whole deal. Do you think that the Elite were too much of a joke? Do you think that that's ran its
Adam
course?
Cole would be hotter right now if he came in serious.
Yeah. Do you think that is the case, or do you think that it's hey, shut up, wrestling's fun, and yeah, being the goofy stuff on Being the Elite did give them a buzz too, and help them get popular. So I don't know. Let us know your feelings, and let us know what
Especially
you
if
think
you're
should
like
happen.
a Zoomer. I want to know what young wrestling fans like people that are getting into indies like in the last 3 years that are like 19.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
any wrestling fans under the age of 25. I don't think.
yeah. No, I don't either. So yeah, let us know what you think about that subject because it's something that gets a lot of different reactions, and I know the world is bigger than the internet, but let us know. And if you enjoyed, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of pro wrestling, but from the world of comic books, gaming, anime, and all things geek culture. Follow me on my social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeek89, Twitter @athletic_geek89, Instagram @athleticgeek89. In fact, to help this channel out financially, I am on Patreon, patreon.com/athleticgeek89. CJ, do you have social media?
Yes, on Twitter @CJTMall0.
Nick, where are you at now?
Wikipedia.org/Big Daddy V.
No more Brian Danielson's Daniels and Brian's?
It's still on an extended holiday. Christmas in the Brian Daniel verse actually extends until July, so they're on a holiday.
Yeah. But you can still find that on Bebo.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, for EZ, who gave his predictions via proxy and is not here, for Nick, and for CJ, I am the Athletic Geek. We are just Marks, and we're out. Have a good one.